This week on What to Watch, Cillian Murphy trades Peaky Blinders for Freaky Blind Monsters in A Quiet Place Part 2.
Run.
Then, Dog Save the Queen. Emma Stone goes barking mad in 70s punk fashions as Cruella.
I look stunning.
Plus, we're pitching Disney's next villainous origin story. My money's on Paulo.
Sing to me, Paulo.
Hit pause on Sour for just a few seconds because it's time for What to Watch. At last, M&M's Mix, all together in one bag. Hi everyone and welcome to Entertainment Weekly's What to Watch, the show where EW staff help you solve your viewing dilemmas. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall, and practicing their Yurchenko double pikes with me are critic-at-large Leah Greenblatt, digital news writer Nick Romano, and assistant features editor Mary Sollosi. Hi everyone, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, Gerrad.
Hi, so great to see you. All right, let's get to it, shall we? This weekend, the wait is finally over. A Quiet Place Part 2. Wait, sorry, are we safe here? We're good? Okay, so then let's get to it for real. This weekend, the wait is over. A Quiet Place Part 2 is finally hitting theaters after over a year of delays. Emily Blunt returns to the post-apocalyptic world that would quite literally die for a Zoom mute button. And John Krasinski is back to direct and wrote the screenplay solo this time around. So, Nick, Krasinski appears in the trailer despite, spoiler, part one's ending. So talk to me about where this film picks up and, what's in store for this highly anticipated sequel.
Yeah, so, I mean, the bulk of the story actually takes place directly after the events in the first movie. But, I mean, when we're talking about sort of Krasinski's return as Father Lee Abbott, the opening sequence takes us all the way back to the very first day that these creatures kind of emerged on the planet. And it's really about, the way that they shot it is really cool, too. It's a very chaotic sequence, cars flying all over the place. And it's really about the Abbotts, scrambling like everybody else to kind of save each other and figure out what the heck is going on. And yeah, we kind of, the cat's out of the bag after the first movie, Lee, things do not go well for him. But what I found interesting in, talking with some of the cast and crew, including Krasinski, is that this opening sequence was really what kind of, motivated him to not only finish writing the script, but actually come back to direct it. And same for Emily Blunt in terms of returning to star in it. I mean, they initially didn't want to. They didn't want it to feel kind of like a cash grab. But then sort of the studio kind of was like, hey, maybe you did a good job on the first one. Can you maybe develop an idea for the second one? Mm-hmm. And as he was doing it, he got more and more invested in it. But yeah, so... You
mean they were trying to maintain some integrity here? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, don't put words in my mouth. Yeah. I know, shocker, right?
I'm going to take you through the timeline here quickly. It was supposed to open in March 2020, pushed to September 2020, then April 2021, then September 2021, and finally Krasinski was like, nope, it's moving up. Here's the weekend. And like that journey would exhaust just the characters in the film. So let me pose this to you, Leah. They are forecasting this movie to be a pretty big box office smash. But do you think there's ever a time when like these kinds of delays exhaust audiences and people just like, whatever, I'll see it when I see it?
In this case, I think no, because this was also the first movie I saw in a proper theater with a mask and faraway people. So it was almost exactly about, 14 months later. And it took about 2 minutes for me to feel like I was completely back in that world. I would actually say less than 2 minutes. And you open on this very all-American scene, upstate New York, a little league game. It's very like immersive in this life that we've all not tasted or touched in over a year, right? And so I remembered that I chewed through my pen during the first screening that I was taking notes with. Like it all came back to me sort of. And I think we should also note that the third Quiet Place is already a go. So, I think they have faith in this movie. It's not going to be directed by John Krasinski. It's going to be directed by this guy, Jeff Nichols, who I love, who's made some great movies, Midnight Special and Loving and Take Shelter. So I'm very curious to see what he does because now it's a franchise. But Also love Cillian Murphy, even though I need a mnemonic device to remember how to pronounce his name, but it's not Cillian. Cillian. And he sort of does kill it in this movie. He's great. I love him and everything. I mean, if you know him from Peaky Blinders or from, Dark Knight or so many movies. But it's really smart about getting right back to what made this movie kind of such a phenomenon the first time. And I think it's still a human story in that kind of 80s Spielberg-y family kind of way where you have like a Close Encounters or a Stand By Me, where you have this horror and this terror, but you have this real people who care about each other.
All right, you guys. Well, we need to take a quick break, but first, let's check out today's fan moment brought to you by M&M's Mix. We ask fans which June movie they're most looking forward to. Mary, which of these is your top pick?
Oh, I mean, I'm so excited to see In the Heights, but I have to say Zola, I saw it at the premiere at Sundance.
We saw it together.
A year and a half ago. Yes, we were there together.
Crazy.
And I'm so excited to see it again.
Well, folks, we will be right back, but I can think of 101 reasons why you will want to stick around. Welcome back to What to Watch. Well, darlings, after what feels like forever, the latest live-action villain origin story is finally here. Cruella, which is out now and stars Emma Stone, takes us on a journey to 1970s London to see how one of Disney's most notorious and stylish villains came to be. So, Mary, does this latest character exploration deliver, or do you suggest viewers better beware?
I think it's great, Gerrad. I think it's so much fun. It's about how Cruella de Vil, became the Cruella we know from 101 Dalmatians, the animated one or the Glenn Close ones. And it's about her origin story as a fashion designer. And so really the fashion has a life of its own, and it's so much fun to see.
One thing I think viewers can definitely look forward to is this kind of battle of the Emmas in Cruella. Emma Stone goes head-to-head with Emma Thompson, who plays the Baroness von Hellman, not the mayonnaise. What's it like watching the two of them face off?
It's just so much fun. Honestly, just so much fun. And what the dynamic between them is, Cruella, or Estella, as she's known at first, is squatting in this old warehouse with Jasper and Horace, who we know from the cartoons. And then the Baroness von Hellman is this established fashion designer with this famous atelier, and Estella gets a job for her. And they have this sort of fashion battle of the two of them. And that's their weapon in their fight with each other for style supremacy.
Leah, in the history of pairings of pitting people against each other, where's this one ranked for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there's definitely some Meryl and Hathaway vibes in here. There's something very universal about this, even though it's such a heightened movie, obviously. It's interesting, too, because it's PG-13, and you're kind of like, okay, so Disney made a villain origin story, right? So what does that look like? And it is a little more adult, I think, than some of the Disney stuff. Though if you watch some of the old Disney animated movies, those villains are freaking terrifying. But for live action, it kind of skirts the kind of, a grown-up edge of Disney. All
right, team. We all know that Disney probably already has 100 more projects in the works, but with the release of Cruella, I'm guessing they might need a little help figuring out what their next live-action villain origin story should be. So I thought we'd help them out a little with something I like to call Pitch Sesh. All right, first up, we need to pick a Disney villain who we want to know more about. Nick, do you have a pick?
Well, I think because of Disney's acquisition of Fox, they technically own the rights to Fern Gully. And the villain in that...
So
the villain in that is a
scary.
being named Hexus, but the real villain is deforestation. And to get an origin story about deforestation in our current time in 2021 would be amazing.
Leah?
I'm an Ursula girl all the way. I gotta go with Little Mermaid.
Okay, so what do we call this project? Ursula feels like it's pretty fitting.
Yeah.
Sea Witch?
Yeah.
Doesn't have the same, I don't know. I think we just have to go with Ursula for this one. All right, who should star in it? Let's not forget that Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula in the live-action remake, but this is an origin story, so we need someone younger. No offense to Melissa.
Florence Pugh, I want to see doing it for some reason.
Wow, that's a very inspired
I love
pick.
that.
Who do we want to see Ursula face off with? It feels like King Triton has to have some kind of role in this,
Yeah,
right?
we need some kind of young Triton.
Billy Magnuson.
Oh,
How about that?
Leah's got all the casting answers here.
I like that.
I love
All right,
him.
so here's where we landed. This is the pitch we are sending to Disney. Coming to theaters and living rooms everywhere, Florence Pugh is starring in the new movie Ursula, the Sea Witch, a Little Mermaid villain origin story, also starring Billy Magnuson as young King Triton. You're welcome, Disney. All right, guys, that is our show today. Thanks so much to my guests Nick Romano, Leah Greenblatt, and Mary Sollosi. We'll see you next time on What to Watch.